Join me as we delve into the mysterious and eerie side of music. These tunes may sound normal at first, but they come with stories, legends, a touch of the supernatural. From haunting backstories to bizarre occurrences, these songs have earned their reputation for being more than just music. I'm your host, James, and these are the top 10 cursed songs Alexa refuses to play. And we're starting off things with Gloomy Sunday. This song was written by the Hungarian pianist Rezs Seress. It came out in 1933 and has become pretty infamous as a cursed song after multiple reports of people taking their own lives while listening to it, particularly in Hungary. The original lyrics aren't the version that is associated with the curse, though. In 1935, lyrics penned by the poet Laszlo Javor are about the death of someone's lover dying and the despair they've been left in. It's said that people who listened to the song experienced heightened feelings of depression and in extreme cases ended up taking their own lives. The English version with lyrics by Sam M. Lewis was introduced to a broader audience, but it was the English rendition recorded by Paul Robeson in 1936 that helped the song gain traction over in the United States. Billie Holiday's rendition further popularized the song in the US, and despite concerns about its impact, her version ended up reaching commercial excess. Some attribute the curse to this recording, but it's mostly the original that's said to be cursed. Next up, we have the curse of the Ninth Symphony. Composing a Ninth Symphony and then meeting an unfortunate end is kind of the gist of the Ninth Symphony curse. Beethoven kicked it off with his famous Ninth Symphony, introducing the world to Ode to Joy, and then he died soon after. And things just got weirder from there. Gustav Mahler, an Austrian composer, cooked up his own Ninth Symphony and then checked out in 1911 while composing his 10th. Health problems were blamed, but the curse enthusiasts couldn't resist connecting the dots. Anton Bruckner, another Austrian, died while composing Symphony No. 9 in 1896. Franz Schubert, Ralph Vaughan Williams, they never completed their 10ths either. Now, there are plenty of other composers who have managed to complete their 10th symphonies without any drama, but this myth is still something even some modern-day composers are a little nervous about. Philip Glass, the composer who's famous for a ton of movie scores, even admitted he was trepidatious about composing his 9th symphony, so he got around it by composing his 9th and 10th at the same time. And he's still around, so seemed to do the trick. Number 8, Crossroad Blues by Robert Johnson. This is one of the most famous tales in American music history. Rock and roll has been associated with the devil for decades, and it pretty much all started here with blues musician Robert Johnson and a crossroads. Robert Johnson, a Mississippi Delta blues musician, recorded Crossroad Blues in 1936. The lyrics tell the tale of a man at a crossroads contemplating the choices he faces in life. There's a myth associated with this song that Johnson made a deal with the devil to achieve extraordinary guitar playing skills and musical success. There are also several musicians who covered or were associated with the song who faced tragic events. Lynyrd Skynyrd covered the song and experienced a devastating plane crash in 1977. Crash claimed the lives of 3 band members along with the tour manager. The Allman Brothers were known for performing Crossroad Blues, and they had their share of misfortune as well. Duane Allman died in a motorcycle accident in '71. Just over a year later, near the same location, bassist Barry Oakley also perished in a motorcycle accident. Next up, we have My Way by Frank Sinatra. This is a classic tune that has found its way into countless karaoke bars around the world, including the Philippines, but this seemingly innocuous song has earned a pretty notorious reputation over there, where it's believed to be associated with a curse. Apparently, singing this particular song in a karaoke setting can lead to violence. Numerous reports and anecdotes have circulated about altercations breaking out in Filipino bars after someone performs My Way on the karaoke machine. Some attribute it to the song's defiant and self-assured lyrics, that maybe the act of singing it can provoke feelings of arrogance or aggression. And some just say that singing this song off-key sounds particularly bad, which I think is the case for most songs, but whatever the reason, the association between My Way and karaoke-related violence has become so ingrained in Filipino culture that some places even display warning signs cautioning patrons against selecting My Way to avoid any potential conflict. Other karaoke bars just straight up ban the song altogether. Incidents linked to the curse have been reported across the Philippines, ranging from heated arguments to physical altercations, and in extreme cases, even fatal ones. Number 6, Music Must Change by The Who. When they were recording the song, their legendary drummer Keith Moon was having a tough time getting it right. He was also dealing with some addiction issues at the time. So the band brought in a session musician to lay down the beats. Now fast forward a bit, just a month after they dropped the album Who Are You, which the song is featured on, Keith Moon died at 32 due to an accidental overdose. The band only played this song a handful of times after that, but cut to 2002, and they decided to dust off Music Must Change for an upcoming tour. Just one day before they were supposed to hit the road, though, their bassist John Entwistle passed away. So after that double whammy, The Who decided to finally retire the song for good. Next on the list is The Devil's Trill Sonata by Giuseppe Tartini. So Giuseppe Tartini, an 18th century Italian composer and violinist, had a wild night one night. He goes to sleep, and suddenly, in the middle of the night, bam, the devil himself shows up and plays him a tune on the violin. Tartini wakes up and just can't shake off this devilish melody, so what does he do? He picks up his own violin and starts composing. And thus, the Violin Sonata in G minor, aka the Devil's Trill Sonata, is born. This piece is brilliant, honestly, absolutely beautiful. It doesn't sound like something the devil would churn out, but there is definitely a certain haunting aspect to it. But again, it could probably be attributed to the context. And because of the context and story behind this, there are some folks who swear this sonata brings a curse. Like, play it and you're basically inviting the devil to your violin recital. There's also a tale that Tartini actually sold his soul for this tune. Is it true? Who knows? Maybe he just had a very vivid imagination. Next up we have the Ghost Song. This song is just terrifying. I don't know how to describe it other than it just sounds haunted. I first heard about this track when it was posted to YouTube without an artist name. It was a bit of a mystery for a while, and there was a creepypasta attached to it about someone who listened to the song and was incredibly disturbed by it, but they just couldn't get it out of their head. The song just got under their skin to the point where they became completely obsessed, unable to sleep. Another story goes that the person who wrote the song took their own life soon after recording it, as the track had caused them to basically lose their mind. Turns out the song is actually by David Byrne, a track called Horses, but even though these stories aren't true, it doesn't change how completely bone-chilling the piece is. In at number 3, we have Helter Skelter. Many know the story about the curse surrounding this one. Helter Skelter by the Beatles is a track off their 1968 album, The White Album. It's a loud, raucous track with Paul McCartney on vocals and a gritty sound that was pretty unconventional for the time. Helter Skelter got tangled up in the whole infamous Charles Manson nonsense in 1969. Manson believed that the song held secret messages and was a call for a race war. So he and his followers committed a series of brutal crimes, including taking the life of actress Sharon Tate. The words Helter Skelter were even scrawled in blood on one of the crime scenes. The song was apparently part of the inspiration for his actions, but I think we all know that this is not the case. Only one man was the inspiration for Charles Manson's actions, and that man is Charles Manson. If Helter Skelter never came out, you just would have found a different hidden message to find in some other song. So, number 2, Dead Man's Curve. Dead Man's Curve is a song by the California rock duo Jan and Dean. It came out in 1964. It was written by Jan Berry, Roger Christian, Brian Wilson, and Artie Cornfield. The song tells the story of a guy driving a Corvette Stingray who challenges another driver to a race on the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles. Now, the so-called curse associated with the song is rooted in the real-life events involving Jan Berry, one half of the duo. On April 12th of 1966, Jan Berry was involved in a very serious car accident on the infamous Dead Man's Curve section of Sunset Boulevard. And he was driving the same car described in the song. He collided with a parked truck. Fortunately, he lived, but the crash left him with severe injuries, including brain damage. Doctors doubted he would ever fully recover, but he did defy some expectations and eventually regained a bit of functionality. But in terms of the band, the accident marked a turning point in Jan and Dean's career, and that it put an end to their career. And finally, we have Alexander Scriabin's Piano Sonata No. 6. So Scriabin was a Russian composer. He composed the piece during a time when his life was in a bit of a mess. He was also playing around with some pretty wild musical ideas. One of the most famous things about this particular piece is that he never dared to play it in front of a full audience. He thought it was like a bad dream, all gloomy and kind of creepy. He'd created this strange, rather unsettling piece and then was like, nah, what have I done? I hate this. Scriabin was convinced that his own creation was, in his words, nightmarish, murky, unclean, and mischievous. Whenever he tried playing a few bits of the piece for other people, he'd start shaking and shuddering. He was scared of his own music, genuinely freaked out by what he'd created. Maybe it hit too close to home, maybe it was just too out there for him. Either way, the fact that an artist was so terrified by his own work is pretty fascinating. With all that said, I've been your host James, and I'll catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video.